Hey there, it's Dave Altavilla for Hot Hardware here with the new Dell Alienware Aurora R15 gaming desktop PC. It is based on Alienware's legend design signature from previous generations, but internally it's been revamped with a new cooling system as well as, of course, new platform upgrades in the form of Intel's 13th Gen Raptor Lake Core Series processors, as well as NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 40 series GPUs, in this case, a GeForce RTX 4090. So, tons of firepower on board. Let's take you on a nickel tour, fire it up, show you what it's made of and what it can do next. The new for 2023 Alienware R15 strikes a pose in Alienware's familiar Legend 2.0 design signature, but Dell says it also introduces an updated thermal strategy and redesigned motherboard that takes the machine to the next level. In this case, that would be beyond 11, into the realm of, you guessed it, 15. Alienware notes that all Aurora R15 chassis configurations will include an array of hexagonal side panel vents, aiding in airflow and system performance, but the clear side panel we have here is optional. In addition, all Aurora R15 liquid-cooled configurations like you see with our system will include a new 240mm heat exchanger that's doubled in size from the previous generation, along with 5 120mm fans and our Intel 13th Gen K-series processor configuration. Our Aurora was specifically configured with an Intel Core i9-13900KF 13th Gen Raptor Lake processor, 32 gigs of Kingston Fury Beast DDR5 5200 MHz RAM, a 2TB NVMe PCI Express 4 SSD, a 2TB 7200 RPM hard drive, and a 1350-watt platinum-rated power supply. Also on board is an Intel Killer 2.5 gig Ethernet NIC and a Killer AX1675 2x2 Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2 M.2 module for solid connectivity all around. You can also select graphics options ranging from AMD's Radeon RX 6000 series GPUs to NVIDIA GeForce RTX 30 series and 40 series GPUs. Pulling the side panel off to see all this tasty hardware in action is as easy as pulling back on this rear latch, releasing it from its locking mechanism, and inside you can see a rather clean layout with good airflow characteristics and a nice fan shroud accompaniment on one of the air intake fans, channeling cool air over the GPU, while cool air is also pulled in over the RAM and CPU socket area. And there's also a standard rear-mounted 120mm exhaust fan. Now, the Alienware team also claims the system delivers 58% more power to the CPU for big gains in performance while remaining 5 degrees Celsius cooler overall. Further, the company claims the Aurora R15's new thermal design allows increased airflow by 19% while managing to perform 66% quieter in CPU-heavy tasks and 9% quieter in GPU-intensive tasks like gaming. The system's redesigned Intel Z790 chipset motherboard also improves cable routing by moving power connections to the board edge, and a new layout where the PCI Express by 16 slot is now in the first slot position, making room for a triple slot GPU, which in this case is a fairly standard-looking GeForce RTX 4090 OEM card design, which you can see here. You can also see there's a spare M.2 slot here if you want to drop in or configure another SSD for a RAID array or just a spare drive, in addition to the 2.5-inch hard drive bay. And of course, you get all the usual Alienware RGB lighting goodness with up to 8 lighting zones and various effects like cycling and strobing and a rainbow of colors to choose from. It's here in the Alienware Command Center software that you can also tweak the system's performance with overclocking functionality. In fact, we dialed the system into its overclocked 2 setting, which cranks up the CPU power level while the GPU stays at stock speeds. In this case, pretty much like any other GeForce RTX 4090 with a 2745 MHz boost clock and 24 gigs of GDDR6X memory with an effective 21 gigabits per second data rate. And as we're showing you here, the system was fully stable with 100% CPU and GPU workloads, with Cinebench and 3D Mark Speedway benchmark running flat out, with nominal 90 C temps on the CPU and tepid 70 C temps on the RTX 4090 GPU. So there you have it, a new redesigned cooling system as well as a 240mm radiator now, and of course new platform technologies from Intel and NVIDIA, the 24-core Intel 13th Gen Core i9 series processor, processor, and of course NVIDIA's monster GeForce RTX 4090 GPU pushing the pixels, one would hope it can game, but let's take a look at performance next. We'll start our abbreviated benchmark gauntlet here with Cinebench R23, a 3D rendering tool for digital creators using the Maxon Cinema 4D engine. But stop by hothardware.com for our full review with many more benchmarks as well. Regardless, as you can see, we pull down a snappy 36,284 Cinebench multi-threaded score and a 2,269 single-threaded score. Moving right along to what this rig does best, and that's gaming, of course. Here's a little F122 racing sim action, and the Alienware Aurora R15 puts up our top score with 99 FPS at 4K ultra settings with ray tracing on and no DLSS turned on. However, here in the video capture we have DLSS 3 with frame gen on, which ramps things up to a blistering 200 frames per second in spots. In Guardians of the Galaxy, the Aurora R15 virtually ties our RTX 4090 testbed that's powered by a Ryzen 9 5800X3D CPU. With 96 FPS on average at 4K ultra settings with ray tracing enabled. And we'll cap things off with a little Final Fantasy Endwalker action, and here the Aurora R15 is chalking up another great finish at 187 FPS with 93 FPS mins in the max quality preset for this benchmark. So that about wraps up our video quick take review with the new Alienware Aurora R15 gaming desktop. At a starting price of $1399 and an as configured and tested price of $4,318 with our RTX 4090 GPU and Intel Core i9-13900KF CPU, it's a premium build we have here for sure, but also comes available with a much more reasonable price point if you want to dial things back a bit in spots to save cost with a more base level config. But regardless, make sure you check out my full deep dive review with a slew of other gaming and content creation benchmarks at hothardware.com, where you can find us on the web. And please smash that like button and subscribe so you get notified when we go live with more PC gaming review fun. It's Dave Altavilla for Hot Hardware with the redesigned Alienware Aurora R15 gaming PC. Thanks for stopping by.